Well, hello and welcome once again to another edition of Pray on This. I'm your host, John Pray, and today I want to talk to you about a video that I've uploaded both here on Rumble and on YouTube. Um, I talked about never underestimating your political opponent, and never more has this been a case than what I experienced this past weekend. I can fall down the rabbit hole of Twitter just as easy as anybody else can. And this past weekend, I got into it with a gentleman who on Twitter goes by BK underscore Belton. Now, this man is a staunch liberal supporter, which is not surprising considering that he hails from Toronto. And I've gleaned enough information to know that he is one of the never voted conservative before liberal ridings. They have always sent a liberal to Ottawa. I don't fault the man for who he is or what he believes. However, I do fault people who are unwilling to look at reason, unwilling to hear the other side, and just dismiss people without any provocation whatsoever, simply because they hold a different point of view. Mr. Belton did not come to me, I did not go to Mr. Belton and make comments on his page. He actually came and made comments on a tweet that I had put out that stated that by all metrics, if an election was held tomorrow, Pierre Poilievre would be the next Prime Minister of Canada. And in that, I went on to explain how Poilievre is now the preferred Prime Minister, that his party has, depending on the poll you look at, minimum 7-point lead up to as high as a 9, that he was getting into majority territory so that no matter what happened, Mr. Poilievre and the Conservative Party of Canada would have an extremely strong minority government, which would take all three political parties to bring it down, or they would have a small majority government. And that it's not surprising that a lot of people feel this way. I also pointed out that over 70% of Canadians feel that our country is headed in the wrong direction and that change is required. When you add in the controversy of Chinese election interference, and as much as Justin Trudeau tries to distance himself from the foundation which bears his family name, it's becoming ever more clear that that just may not be true. Just recent stories out last week that it was his brother who negotiated and accepted the deal to give the Trudeau Foundation a $200,000 grant from a suspect source with affiliations with the Chinese Communist Party, and the $750,000 donation to the University of Montreal for scholarships in their father's name, and the statue to be erected of the former Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau, that was all done by Justin's brother. Or the fact that his Jamaica vacation this year, just after Christmas, that lasted from Boxing Day, December 26th, to January the 4th. First, there was the fact that it cost Canadian taxpayers $160,000 for security, but it was also a vacation taken at the private villa of a man who is a Trudeau family friend and has also made serious donations to the Trudeau Foundation. It all brings into question just how arm's length away from this foundation are you, Justin? There's also the consideration that every time Justin Trudeau has been in trouble and has had to appoint someone to chair a committee or be a special rapporteur to try and bail him out, that he seems to go after someone who's been a board member of the Trudeau Foundation. This man, Mr. Belton, was just spewing off Justin Trudeau talking points. It was, well, David Johnston is the best person in Canada to be the special rapporteur, when you point out his personal relationship and how there's still a conflict of interest there. You were chastised by this man. He threw out all the data from multiple, not one, but multiple polling agencies that say that the Liberals are trending in the wrong direction, and that it's getting to the point where this will not be turned around, and that an election loss is assured. The only question is how big an election loss it will be. That Justin Trudeau is no longer liked by his people. That's obvious by the size of his security detail. Mr. Trudeau's predecessors, like Mr. Harper, Mr. Martin, and Mr. Chrétien, they had rather small security details. I think Jean Chrétien, at his most disliked during the Shawinigan scandal, had a grand total of 4 RCMP officers to his security detail. Stephen Harper, who's quoted to be one of the most hated prime ministers in Canada by Liberals, the most he ever had in the security detail was 3, and was regularly able to attend National Hockey League games in Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, as well as Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver. I don't think Mr. Trudeau could do that now and be safe, no matter what. So, yeah, when you take a look at the fact that Mr. Trudeau has a security detail of over 40 members, that he can't seem to appear anywhere in Canada without being yelled at, screamed at, called profane names, his integrity is constantly being called into question, and just the lack of a clear successor in the Liberal Party. It's very obvious that the Liberals are a party in decline. They have been since they were first elected in 2015. In 2015, they got 39% of the vote. They were down to 33% of the vote in 2019. They fell to 32% of the vote in 2021. And now, for at least 3 months, they have not polled above 30%. They are still popular in certain small pockets of the country, Atlantic Canada, Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver. They have a little bit of support in Edmonton, but when you take a look at them seriously from coast to coast, they are not a well-liked party. They have an extremely disliked leader, and he'll be going for his 4th mandate in the next election. Canadians don't like giving prime ministers 4 mandates. We've only done it twice, and we've only done it 4 times in a row once. But when this man came and attacked me, I was cordial. I used logic. I tried to keep emotion out of it. I never once got a personal in any attacks back in defending myself. Over the course of multiple tweets, over the course of 3 days, the gentleman called into question my patriotism as a Canadian. He called into question my intelligence, my education, told me that I was a con-tard, that I was a terrorist who supported the Convoy Party. I believe that was directed at the Conservative Party of Canada. That I was an idiot, that I had no education, that obviously I am a broken old middle-aged man who's lonely. When I said to him, "I'm sorry, sir, but you're incorrect. I'm a very intelligent man. I'm well educated. I am a Canadian patriot. I have served my country. And that I'm just pointing out facts. And then he started to call me names like an F-tard and an effing retard, and that I could go to hell, and that if any woman could love me, that she should be killed, and that my seed should be wiped from the planet. I don't know when our Discord turned this way, but I know that it has. And I used to have several friends on the left who I would talk with about issues just to get their point of view. Mine can't be the only one, and it doesn't mean that my point of view is always right. So I always wanted points of view that were against my own. However, I have noticed over the last 3 to 4 years that this is becoming increasingly difficult to have in this country. And the first time I ever saw this ever was a personal friend said to me, I support the Liberal Party of Canada because I don't want to become the cesspool of politics that the United States has become. And yet, the more I look, it's not conservatives I see who are getting personal in their attacks. It's not conservatives who I see who are twisting facts. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because it does, but it seems to be a tactic of the left. And I say the left because Justin Trudeau has moved the Liberal Party of Canada very hard left. There are many, many issues that they're even left of the very left NDP and Jagmeet Singh. I constantly keep getting asked, how does Singh keep supporting Trudeau? To which I say, they're virtually the same party. How can you not see that? And the only thing I can hope for is that all of this dystopia, that, oh, Pierre Poilievre is Trump, and we don't want MAGA Republicans in Canada, or that, talking about things which are very evident to society, that charging a carbon tax, which finally the Liberals just started to admit is going to cost Canadians more money than what they get back, which it basically always has, and that it is going to drive inflation. So they're finally admitting that their policies which they pursue are causing the cost of living crisis, that perhaps when we get past this time and we have new leadership that is not into playing wedge issue identity politics, that perhaps isn't quite so woke, that doesn't tell us to trust the science when what they really are saying is trust us and our political science, that we can get back to actually starting to respect each other, and that we can move away from this. If not, I'm not exactly sure how much Canadian society will survive. Western society, for that matter. I've seen a lot of strange things come up, but these are some things that I do believe to be true. If we continue down this path, in Canada, we have always worried about Quebec separation, but I think we really should take into consideration Western alienation and Western separation, that being the three prairie provinces, saying, nope, you are not going to tell us to stop drilling oil. You are not going to stop us from harvesting potash. You are not going to stop us from taking our products to the world. And if you do, we don't want to be part of Canada anymore. Becomes a real, serious possibility. Just like in the United States. I don't hear people on the right saying that we need to have another civil war and that the red states should separate from the left, from the blue states. It is true that some Republicans have repeated this, but the ones who are calling for militant action are on the left. There's always been a distinction We have always known when the right goes too far, when the alt-right is talking. We never seem to be able to put our finger on when the alt-left has gone too far. But I'm pretty sure that we can all see that the alt-left has gone way too far now, and that we need to have a swing of the pendulum back to the center. I hope that it comes soon and with the next Canadian election. That, as always, is Pray on This.